Live from Sin City, it's the Socks and Pinstripes Podcast. And now, here's the star of the show, Diet Dr. Griffin!
This is Diet Dr. Griffin back with another episode of the Socks and Pinstripes Podcast. I'm a little under the weather today, and nothing says being under the weather like having to record 3 episodes of a podcast. So we're going to have some fun today.
Griffin.
Yeah. So how are things with you, Shane?
Things are going pretty good. I am not sick and not getting sick, and I also have like the next 9 days work free.
Oh,
So
wow. Yeah, you're going to spring training, huh?
Yeah, spring training tomorrow, and then it's my long weekend this weekend. So every 6 weeks I get Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So I haven't been to work since Thursday. I've just been waking up in the morning, swimming laps, going to the gym, drinking coffee, hanging out at my apartments. It's been pretty great. How about you?
Yeah, well, at my job, we're coming into the busy season because for whatever reason, they decided to make the first quarter, their end of first quarter, the end of their fiscal year.
Yeah, okay.
So everything is just turning into a bit of a mess right now, and I imagine it's going to get worse and worse as we progress towards the end of the month.
Yeah.
Now, things seem to be getting worse and worse and worse on the injury front in baseball right now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Especially in the division that the 2 divisions we're going to be talking about today, the AL and NL East. These divisions have again hit hard with some injuries here, and it's going to make predicting this thing very interesting. Let's start with the NL East. Who do you have going on there, Shane?
I think I got Phillies all the way winning that thing. I feel pretty good about that pick. I feel like every year they're kind of in it. I feel like this year will be no exception. I really thought 2 years ago they were going to win the whole thing. So I kind of hope that they get it before their window closes, personally. I got the Marlins at the very end, dead last. The Mets right behind the Phillies in second. The Nats I got right above the Marlins, so fourth. Wow, I did this very weird.
Yeah.
And then the Braves the Braves right in the middle. So here, let me think.
So if I understood you right, you have Phillies, Mets, Braves, Nats, and Marlins.
Yeah, perfect. All right. See, it makes sense.
All right. You and I are pretty much in agreement, except for the fact that I have the Braves and Mets flip-flopped. So I think the Braves are going to be in second and Mets are going to be third. And a lot of the reason that I'm not optimistic about the Mets is because I just don't think the rotation is very good this year, and they've already suffered injuries to both Frankie Montas and Sean Manaea.
Oh, geez.
And it just came out today.
Like Frankie is probably.
Yeah, well, Frankie's not that great, but it just came out today that Francisco Alvarez is going to miss at least 6 weeks with a wrist injury, that hamate bone. He's getting surgery on that, so they're going to be without their catcher now.
Wow. All right. Well, that's an interesting start to their season. So
yeah, I mean, I think the Phillies are probably the best team outside of the Diamondbacks that can probably stop the Dodgers this year.
Yeah, that's basically what we're playing, is stop the Dodgers. So
I mean, honestly, I think those 2 teams even have a better chance of stopping them than anyone in the American League, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that.
The Phillies have pretty much kept their team together. They didn't really make a lot of changes outside of bringing in Jordan Romano, who replaced Jeff Hoffman, who left as a free agent.
Okay.
So, I mean, Romano's got a lot of closing experience, and really the thing that just happened with the Phillies in the playoffs was their bats just got cold for a bad series, which just happens.
Yeah.
And their team is still pretty much the same. They have a lot of good talent across the board. And did you hear reports that Bryce Harper would have gone back into the outfield so that they could get a first baseman?
That's because Bryce Harper is a That freaking dude. That guy is just a man among men, honestly. So
I can't stand Bryce Harper.
everything okay. We are in disagreement. Everything I hear about that guy, I'm just like, I'm 100% in his wheelhouse. And when I did my mock draft, I was able to get him as my first baseman. So Bryce, love you, buddy.
Speaking of mock drafts, our league just decided last night we're gonna go down to a 10-man league instead of a 12 team league because we had some people leaving the league this past year. And so I haven't had a chance to run a mock draft on 10 teams now instead of running it on 12.
Oh yeah, I did mine on 10. So
Yeah, I was gonna try to do one, but I just didn't have time this morning. But it's gonna be
yep.
interesting to see how it changes things now.
Yeah, you have a lot more just from my perspective. I haven't really I mean, there's a few people I might have taken over some other people, but you can kind of stack your lineup with whoever you want. You're not like really having to settle, you know, until really later in the round, like 12 and above, you know. So
Yeah,
I, I
and
got I got Wilson Contreras, Harper, Cattell Marte, Matt Chapman, O'Neill Cruz, Kyle Tucker, Stephen Kwan, Colton Cowser. You know, it's
and
pretty
where did
solid.
what pick number did you draft out of and your opponent?
10. I like to draft on the corners, and last year I drafted in the middle, and that was fine. And I guess I should practice more drafting in the middle, but I feel like I really excel at 1 or 2 or 9 or 10. So
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be one of those things where you never know where you're gonna end up drafting out of, and I always like to
yeah,
practice out of multiple spots. But
yeah,
now I think it's you probably want to actually draft out of the top in a shallower format
yeah,
because let's say you have the number one overall pick, so you've got like number one, and then you're gonna get like 21 and 20 or 20 and 21 after that.
yeah,
So you're gonna get like three of the top, 20 to 25 players there, and not every spot's gonna allow that. So I think this format might make it so you want to have like a really early pick versus a later pick. In a
yeah,
12 team league, you might want to have that end of the round pick where you get like kind of that 1 to 2 round swing there where you get like 12 to 13. But
yeah,
I think in the shallower format, we're gonna see how it pans out. We haven't had a 10-team league in a number of years. Our first year was 8, and then that went up to 10, and then we've had 12 ever since. So we're
yeah,
going back down to 10, but I think it's going to be a tighter, more difficult league this year.
yeah. Should be exciting, and because the categories are closer too.
Yeah.
I got Logan Gilbert again. I was pretty stoked about that. So
How are you feeling about George Kirby being injured and going to be starting the season on the injured list?
that's fine. I feel like George is still everyone's high on George because he throws a lot of strikes. With George, he needs to figure out how to like calm himself down when things stop going his way. Like he will really let the game get to him and let it get out of hand really fast. And I think for him, he still has a lot of growth in that area. Whereas Logan Gilbert, his alternate persona is Walter, which is just great. And you're like not allowed to talk to him on on game day.
Wait. He has an alternate guy personality named Walter.
Yeah,
Like,
so
is that
on
what
his
Walter White from Breaking Bad or something? He just turns into like Heisenberg and he wears a little hat and
so
he says, "Say my name."
on his starting days, he goes into Walter mode, and you're like not allowed to talk to him. He's like hyper focused. He like sits off by himself and just won't say anything until after his start is over. So
Walter. That's just very interesting that like his specific thing has a name for it.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's from the players gave him the nickname. So
Okay.
yeah,
Maybe it is named after Walter White. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. So it's pretty funny. Jerry gave us a big fu again, saying that
Did
We
you
should
hear
be.
what Justin Turner said this week?
Oh, I'm happy he said it. Like, I wish they would have blasted it even louder. I mean, we deserve every single sentence of what he said.
It
So,
just seems like ownership is really like the ones that aren't wanting to spend the money.
yeah,
This is the exact situation that I ran into with the Red Sox a couple years ago.
yeah.
So I need to ask the question here because are you going to boycott the Mariners like I have boycotted the Red Sox?
No, never. So,
No?
yeah, no, I can't do it. But so Jerry's FU to all of us fans was we should be thanking him because he's giving us a team that will have 87 wins for the next 10 years. So that's
Oh, they're
his.
not getting 87 wins.
Yeah. According to Jerry, he's crushing it, and we're all ungrateful bitches. So,
Well, just imagine what's going to end up happening when some of these guys start reaching arbitration. They're actually going to have to spend some money on their pitching.
oh, dude, they're going elsewhere. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's no way. I mean, if I'm George Kirby or Logan Gilbert or Brian Wu, I feel bad for Luis Castillo because he's going to be sort of at the end of his career. But with the way that they handled this situation over the last couple of years and just refusing to go out and spend money on the offense, if I'm any of those pitchers, as soon as I hit arbitration or free agency or whatever, I'm even telling my agent right now, like, get me a trade me out of this place because I do not want to just die here. So
Yeah, I mean this feels like the Randy Johnson situation all over again. Not a good investment, and then Randy Johnson just
yeah,
goes on and dominates in his 30s.
yeah, just murders everyone essentially. Single-handedly wins the Diamondbacks as an expansion franchise, the World Series basically. So
Yeah. So while we're just on the AL West here, did you see Lawrence Butler got a nice little extension with the A's?
no, I didn't.
They gave Lawrence Butler, I believe, a 7-year extension.
Oh, okay, cool, good for him. He's a good player, so
I
they're going
mean, he
to be an
basically
exciting
just
team to watch. So
he agreed to a 7-year, $65 million extension.
oh, cool.
So basically, it's gonna buy out a lot of his arbitration years.
Yeah.
So I mean, the way that it pans out, he's gonna basically get like 2.25 million this year, like three next year, 5, 8, 10, 14, and 16. So
Oh, cool.
it's one of
Oh,
those,
he's going to be.
buying the arbitration years out and maybe like a year or two of free agency as well.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be living in Sacramento, so he'll only need $2 million to live there. So
Yeah, I mean, for at least the next few years,
yeah,
the A's are actually wearing they're going to be wearing Las Vegas patches on their
yeah. I
jerseys this
saw.
year.
I saw that. I was just like, okay, whatever.
I still haven't seen enough evidence that they're actually going to build the stadium here. I really haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Well, they keep on the. So I've been reading news stories, and they're saying it's like they're pretending it's an actual thing, but like you said, I guess they still need to get an agreement from the city or whatnot.
So much that they still need to do.
Yeah, the
So much.
renderings of the ballpark look really cool, though. So
Well, I mean, the renderings are renderings. They're like AI generated. I don't even think that's what they're actually going to build.
yeah, probably not. I saw a rendering of Portland is trying to build a stadium, hopefully for an expansion MLB team. And the renderings of that ballpark looked really beautiful. It basically kind of took a little bit from San Francisco, put it right on the river, even though San Francisco is on the bay, but there's like right on the river, and it's got it looks really cool. But we'll see obviously if that even happens or not. So
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how this pans out. Let's circle back to the AL East now, which I think is going to be the hardest division of all of these to kind of pick the
yeah,
order of.
definitely.
I've been
yeah,
waffling on this one, which is what I did last year and ended up blowing up in my face. So, who
yeah.
do you have in the AL East?
Oh man, I hate the Yankees, so I'm going Sox, Orioles. No, God, I'm out Sox, Yankees, Orioles. Blue Jays, Rays. Final answer.
What makes you put the Red Sox at the top? That's a very curious pick there.
I just hate the Yankees, and I don't ever want to put them first in anything. So
That's fair. That's fair. But I
that's my
mean,
that's my reasoning.
I was gonna have the Yankees first, but I have been scared off with the injuries that they have suffered already.
Yeah,
You've got Giancarlo Stanton in his having tennis elbow issues, and they're possibly contemplating surgery for him, which would be a season-ending surgery if he got it.
yeah.
You've got Luis Heel, your AL rookie of the year last year. He's been shut down for pitching from like at least 6 weeks. So, I mean, he's going to probably miss the first half of the season. And now you're getting word of Garrett Cole. He's got elbow issues, and that's looking pretty ominous as
Didn't he just
well.
have Tommy John?
No, he didn't. He was able to get by last year without having Tommy John, but he was having issues for a good chunk of last year too.
Okay.
But
Well,
now that he got the
yeah.
contract, he got past that opt-out window.
Hmm.
It wouldn't shock me now if he had Tommy John surgery.
Maybe I should put the Yankees third then, and the Orioles second.
Yeah, so I mean, I went Baltimore. I still think the Yankees have more talent than the Red Sox. I'm just
Hmm.
not. I need to see it with the Red Sox first. I had the Red Sox third,
Okay.
Blue Jays fourth, and then the Rays fifth.
Well, I mean, you did betray your whole entire team by rooting for the Yankees, so I can see why you put them above
I
the
just
Sox.
look,
So.
the Red Sox are sort of a mystery bag. Like you just don't
But they're
know.
but they're your mystery bag, Griffin. You can't
Yeah,
put the Yankees
they're
above your
my
team.
mystery
Come
bag, but
on.
I have no idea what to expect out of it. Rafi's still dealing with the shoulder injuries that he didn't get surgery on or anything like at the end of last year.
Yeah.
So they're using that as basically the excuse to have Bregman start at third base so he can save face pretty much.
Nice.
But I mean, the rotation is just out. I mean, outside of Garrett, even Garrett Crochet, like there's a lot of just really big question marks with that rotation. And I've
Well,
already
what's
heard
his name pitched super well last year? The guy that I
Hawk had a good first half.
yeah,
He fell apart in the second half because he just hadn't pitched that many innings.
yeah,
You got Walker Bueller. You don't really know what to expect out of him because
that's
he was
true.
horrible last year, but he was great in the playoffs.
Hmm.
And then, you got Giolito coming back from his internal brace surgery. And even Garrett Crochet, I mean, Garrett Crochet has had durability issues over the years. When he's pitched, he's been great, but he also really struggled in the second half because they kept like babying him every 4 innings, 4 inning
Yeah,
starts. And it was just like, it's one of those teams where like it wouldn't shock me if the Red Sox managed to make the playoffs, but it wouldn't shock me if they fell off either. It's very difficult to predict how that team is gonna go. It's like they have a high ceiling and a very low floor.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, I could see them making the playoffs, and I could see them not making the playoffs too.
Yeah,
But it's certainly with all the injuries that the Yankees have, and even Baltimore, they've had some injuries too. Grayson Rodriguez is going to start the season on the injury list, and he's probably the best pitcher that Baltimore has.
which is just crazy
And that's not saying much.
yeah,
Baltimore is kind of doing the same thing that the Mariners are doing. They're not putting their chips onto the table like right now when they should.
yeah, yeah.
I
And
mean,
they
that's
need
the thing.
pitching,
Like,
so yeah, they have. And the crazy thing is they have like an overabundance of offense. And if they just wanted to do trades, they could probably, make trades for good pitchers. But
yeah, and
mm,
I'm curious to see what the ballpark adjustments, what impact those are going to have on the Orioles this year because they are moving back in the walls a bit from the extremes that they had last year.
yeah,
I think honestly the extremes was what made them a good team. So I'm curious to see how it's gonna backfire on them. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. But the Rays are gonna be playing all of their games at George Steinbrenner Field, basically, and
Yeah.
that's gonna have the dimensions of Yankee Stadium, which is gonna be pretty
Okay.
interesting to see how they perform this year.
Yeah.
But I just don't think there's a lot of talent on the Rays right now. They're kind of like rebuilding, but
Yeah.
they'll be there. And the Blue
Well,
Jays.
The Rays are like the Mariners. They're the East Coast professional farm team for all the good teams. So
Well, I mean, the Rays will figure it out. Like they will, duct tape. It wouldn't shock me if the Rays somehow duct tape themselves into third place. I just think they're kind of
yeah,
in rebuild mode right
yeah,
now, literally and figuratively.
yeah. That's that'll happen after a hurricane. So
So let's circle back to fantasy a little bit here. We've got a week and a half until the draft. How are you looking at things going forward in terms of like trying to figure out injuries or trying to figure out how you want to make your game plan?
so I am unless it's the only thing I'm caring about are things that might be season ending injuries. Those are the only things that are going to sway my deciding to choose someone or deciding not to choose someone. If someone's going to spend the first half of the season on the IL, then I might like put a little asterisk by him and try to pick him up later. But if it's like 6 weeks or like 2 months or whatever, I'm just going to draft him anyway. You don't win fantasy in the first half of the season anyway. So as long as I can be somewhat competitive, I'm not even going to pay attention really to injuries and just try to build a team that I want. I am going to put more. Last year, I tried more of our buddy Jeff's strategy and just picked up pitchers whenever. I think I'm going to put more importance on picking up starting pitching this year,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just because that went absolutely terribly for me. And then offensively, I had good guys on offense last year, but none of them. My team was never 100% healthy, like for more than 2 weeks, basically. And so, like, one guy would be, there'd be like three guys injured and not playing for a week, and then they'd have to play like other people. And so it just was really like this piecing together the offense the whole entire year, and then also trying to do that with pitching. Now, I'm surprised I made the playoffs because Jeff almost beat me so bad that I missed the playoffs. And then I had redemption by then beating him the next week. But then I knew my team wasn't very good. So then I immediately just turned around and lost to you. So we'll see how it goes this year.
As silly as it sounds for me, I'm still kind of working on my draft strategy because I've run a lot of different builds. I did a draft where I was like number one overall and I drafted Otani, and that was a strange experience.
Yeah.
And our league format, I'm drafting like our league would draft, and our league runs some different rules than traditional leagues do. So like our league is saves and holds,
Yeah.
and our league is 10 by 10. So, steals aren't really as big of a priority for me
Yeah.
as like it is in a traditional league.
So I didn't even pick up Ellie De La Cruz this year. I was just like, whatever, dude. I'm just going to get faster people like Steven. I'm going to go for more people like Steven Kwan than someone who's just stealing bases, essentially.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But I mean, there's gonna be a point where like if Ellie falls to like the second round or something, I mean, someone's gonna pounce on him.
oh yeah,
So that's
if
like
he
the
doesn't
fun
go
part
in the
is
if he doesn't go in the first round, I mean, I'm not. It's not like I'm just going to be like, I refuse to take this guy. So,
no, like busts in drafts. I mean, there are players that I don't like that I
yeah,
won't touch with a 10-foot pole. But there are instances where like, busts are relative to where they're being drafted. So if
yeah,
somebody you think is a bust because they're just being drafted in the first round but they fall to you in like the second round, maybe even the third round, like yeah, I'm gonna try that guy. I might not like him, but he's fallen way lower than he should have, and that
yeah, exactly.
happens on things, especially with like once injuries start factoring in.
Yeah.
I mean, George
Yeah.
Kirby's going to fall at least a couple of rounds now
Yeah.
because,
I mean, that will be, I mean, if he is hanging around and, if he's still around in the fifth, I mean, I'll take him all day. So,
well, now it's like the fifth round in our league is like top 50, 40 to
okay.
50 basically, instead
Yeah.
of like in a normal league, you're talking like, 60 and up. So the pool tightens now. And
Yeah.
that's going to be an interesting little variable. In our league, we draft 27 players. So under a normal circumstance, when we had 12 teams the past few years, you would have a draft of 324 players.
Yeah.
Now, with the new format, you're going to only draft 270.
Yeah.
So that's like a 50 player difference. And that's
Yeah.
going to be interesting to see how that works this year.
I mean, I picked up a pitcher in the third round this year. So, and that's kind of been where I've been picking up my, like, quote unquote person I want to be the ace on my team for the year.
Last year I don't think I drafted a pitcher until round 6 last year.
Yeah. I think I did the same thing. And I barely ever won the pitching side of our league last year.
Yeah,
Rarely did I
I
ever even come close to winning that side.
yeah, and
So,
I don't know if I want to do that again this year. Like I feel like I drafted horribly last year. I genuinely feel like last year was one of the worst drafts I've ever done,
yeah, you had a
especially
really,
in like
I
the
mean,
early rounds. And that's saying something because I
yeah,
won the league.
you said that, but I thought you had a pretty good team. So I was trying to figure out where you went wrong, but
I got lucky with a lot of my picks. Like
yeah,
I feel like I built this team more in free agency than I have in past years. But like I look at like there's one manager in our league last year who didn't really pay attention to his team. But you know who he drafted in rounds 1 and 2?
who?
Judge and Otani.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He
That's
had
right.
Judge and Otani, and if he paid any bit of attention to his team, he would have won the league. I
Oh,
look at who I
probably.
drafted last year in the first 2 rounds. I
Yeah.
drafted Corbin Carroll and Ozzie Albies.
Oh, man.
Like probably one of the worst pairings of a first and second round pick of anybody in our league.
Oh, and they both had down years last
Yeah, I
year.
mean, I mean, Carroll, to his credit, Carroll had an amazing second half and bailed me out. But if he didn't have that second half, I mean, Albies was a dumpster fire last year.
Yeah, he really did
So I
look like
mean,
he was
I just
lost
feel
out
like I
there.
need to do better in the early rounds of the draft
Yeah.
because I got lucky that I drafted Chris Sale in like the mid rounds, and I feel
Oh
like I
yeah, that's
just
right. He
got
turned.
every single good free agent that was available out there. And I know that's like not sustainable.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So that's my plan. Just do better in the early rounds of the
Just
draft.
just do better.
I know it's completely like obvious, but
Yeah,
that's my plan. I'm gonna have to look at the pitching pool now that the injuries are starting to flow in there and see which directions I want to go. And now with the ten team going from down from 12, that changes the equation as well. It just
yeah,
like, you know, it makes it so like maybe if you waited until round 5 in previous years to draft a pitcher, you could wait till like round 6 or 7 even possibly.
yeah, yep,
I mean, I honestly like I drafted I think 3 pitchers in my top 10, and I think only one of them was like any good.
yeah,
I drafted Reagan's I think in like round 9, and then like I had Bobby Miller in round 6. That was horrible, and then Tanner Bybee was like okay in round 7.
yeah. The only pitcher I had who was any sort of great. All right, I guess I had two. Logan Gilbert, but his team sucks, so he never got any wins.
Yeah,
And
I think that's a fluke. I think he'll just
yeah,
probably have a better chance of doing better next
yeah.
year.
I mean, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball, but his team just sucked around him, so that's not his fault. And then Mason Miller really was like, I just saves and holds was like the only category I really held on to just because of Mason Miller. So
So is this the year you're finally going to change your team name?
I don't know, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I think I was thinking about going with Bakken on the Moon, but like a little sting. fun. Well, I don't know.
Well,
We'll
wait
see.
until
So,
you draft your team and then see if anybody's names come out there
okay.
that,
Yeah, we'll
that
see.
appeal, that jump out there.
We'll
One
see
thing
what
I'm going to
happens.
say is that if for some reason I draft Cody Bellinger this year,
Yeah.
or whoever drafts Cody Bellinger, somebody needs to use the team name Bellinger's Bong and then grab the image of him stoned from when he's glazed out looking at from the Dodgers dugout. Somebody has to do that. That has been a missed opportunity in this league forever.
Oh man.
I can tell you one thing that I completely I just I'm looking at my draft team from last year and I look at all of the whiffs that I made. I got so lucky that I did well with what I did because I whiffed so hard all over the place.
Who was your best free agent acquisition?
Probably Brent Rooker.
Oh, yeah. He played really
Brent
well.
Brent Rooker was really good. But I mean, I had so many. I had like Ranger Suarez was like the best pitcher in the first half of the season last year. I had Jared Jones. I had so many good free agent pickups. This was such a weird year for me last year where I picked up so many guys.
Yeah.
I have to look at my roster from last year, but Rooker was there. I mean, I picked up Yanier Diaz. He was the catcher from the Astros. He really played well.
Yeah. I tell you one thing I'm not going to do is pick up a pitcher I think is going to be good and then drop them before the season even starts and then have them be really good for the first half of the season. So,
Yeah. Yeah, you don't need to do that with Reynaldo Lopez again. That
yeah.
makes no
If I would have
sense.
just if I would have just held on to him, I probably would have done a lot better in the pitching categories. So.
Yeah. Oh, I picked up Edwin Diaz too. I forgot about that. I
Oh,
picked
okay.
up,
Yeah.
yeah. One of our managers went and like I dropped a bunch of players, and I think I ended up picking up like half of the players from her team, and they ended up being like staples on my team.
No, nice.
When
That's
Edwin
always good.
Diaz had his major issues, I just picked him up and waited it out.
World Baseball Classic is next year, right?
I don't know. Is
I
it
think,
next year?
I think so.
I know that they've been having qualifying like teams now. They got the 20 narrowed down. Yeah, it is going to be next year.
Yeah. So just tell Edwin Diaz no jumping up and down after you win a baseball game.
Our mutual friend Taylor went to the WBC games last time they were
Oh, nice in Miami.
no, they didn't go to Miami. She went to
Oh,
Chase Field in Arizona.
oh, okay. Yeah, I have another big one. That's a giant stadium as well. So
Yeah, I've been there. It's a decent place, but they're already talking about like trying to renovate and rebuild it, even though it's only been around for like I don't know, maybe 25 years, 25, 30 years.
yeah, are they gonna make the pool bigger?
I don't know. I don't know, but uh,
Yeah.
you got any closing remarks for the show today?
Oh yeah. So as far as I can tell, this is the only guy who Will Clark is the only person who has done this. He homered in his first at bat of single A ball, his first at bat in double A ball, his first at bat in triple A ball, and his first at bat in the majors.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. So that's
And he had a pretty good career for himself too in the
yeah,
majors.
yeah. Playing with the
I don't
Gigante.
I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but he's like a Hall of Very Good.
Yeah, and also I don't think anyone's gonna ever do that again. So
No, I mean you got so many really good prospects that don't even end up playing in AAA.
yeah,
Too.
exactly.
That's the thing. I think like I don't even think Rafael Devers played in AAA before he came up. Not sure Miguel Cabrera played in AAA.
Yeah, I know that both George Kirby and Logan Gilbert didn't play in AAA. They just went straight from Double A ball to the majors. So
Yeah, I mean that happens a lot with just certain teams just don't bother with the third AAA thing. I mean the Red Sox do now.
yeah,
They're big, but a lot of teams don't. So
yeah, they were saying at least on the Mariners team radio, they were saying like sometimes if you got a guy who's really good, the reason why you don't want to expose them to AAA ball is there's a lot of guys who are like pretty bitter, who aren't going to get called up, who've been up and then put back down, and you just don't want them around that kind of negativity as they're coming through the system. So
All right, well, on that note, we'll see you guys next week.
bye now.